What is up, everybody? Hey, welcome to another episode. How are you doing on this awesome Friday? It's Good Friday. I've got the day off and it's absolutely perfect outside. We'll probably be rolling the car out to work on it today. So what we're going to be doing today, we already mentioning that the car seems to be running a little bit lean at the top end.
Yeah, I still felt a stumble there.
I'll be driving it, you'll be getting on it, maybe take a turn, punch it, and up around 4,000 RPMs or higher, the car would start stumbling, sometimes it would fall flat on its face for a second, almost like a misfire. So I pulled the plugs out, checked them, and yeah, lo and behold, to me, it looks like the car is running a little bit lean. So we don't really know what the car is doing, and today we're going to solve that by installing an air-fuel ratio gauge. This is going to be installing a wideband oxygen sensor and monitoring for the air-fuel ratio gauge. We know exactly what the air-fuel ratio is on this car, and it's going to be something I'm really going to need when the turbo goes in, so stay tuned. Let's just get right to it. So this is an AEM air fuel ratio gauge. This is a kit. This is a controller, they call it, because it has output for CAN bus and also has output for serial. So you can output this to a data logger or output this to any kind of external computer if you wanted to. So let me show you what's in the box here. Okay, so I've already opened this up. Let's kind of put it back in together, but of course you've got the gauge. It's real thin. It's nice and sleek. It's got connectors for the power of the gauge and also connectors for the oxygen sensor and for the output. Comes with everything you need in this box here, guys. In fact, let's flip it over. By the way, this is a part number 30Z. Excuse me. This is a part number 30-0300, and it is a 2 1/16 size gauge. Nice touch. So this comes with the oxygen sensor harness. That's what this is. Comes with some ties. Looks like it comes with a bung. This is super useful. We may have to use this bung and weld into the exhaust, or we may tie it into one of the existing exhaust ports, since I'm not really using my O2 sensors at all on the tune. Yep. Comes with the wideband oxygen sensor itself. This is a Bosch wideband oxygen sensor, and there's the, looks like a weather pack plug. So that would go into here, like so, like that. And it comes with the wiring for the power, lights, and everything else. This is what you tap into your existing locations for power. Goes with a rad AEM sticker. It's not to be confused with AEM, excuse me. And in here as well is the clips, the holes of this to the back of your gauge. Let me show you where we plan on mounting this. Okay, so I've gotten the 2 gauge pillar, A-pillar pod here, and it wasn't really my first choice. These are kind of clunky and they're kind of in the way, not to mention this isn't a full length. As far as I can tell, they don't make a full length for an 86 Mustang. They make some for the 87 up to 93. But this will work just fine, and it's going to have 2 pods in. I will need one for boost, and I'm going to need one here for the air-fuel ratio gauge. So we're going to go ahead and install it with just 1 gauge and unfortunately deal with the hole, the empty hole in the car. So I did contemplate using other pods. They make one that goes, really all kinds of spots. They make one that goes into your info center, down there where your clock is and where your low fuel light is and all that kind of stuff, but it's so low you can't really see it. It's really behind the shifter, so when you're shifting it's going to be kind of behind your hand. I wanted something that is really in your face. This is going to tell me really quickly if I run lean or run rich, so that is pretty cool. You can also put them on the passenger side flat panel on the 86s, and they make some gauges that angle towards you. That's pretty cool. To me it's a little bit much because I don't be planning on putting that many gauges in it. This is the only pod I plan on putting in the car, and I'm only going to be running a boost and air-fuel ratio gauge. For accurate rating on all the other gauges, I know I need to take care of that because right now it's pretty inaccurate. There's something wrong with the resistance in the gauge cluster the stock Mustang cluster itself, and my gauge readings tend to fluctuate depending on temperature of the motor. So sometimes you'll see all the gauges except for your tachometer pretty much start creeping up, go back down. So I know it's inaccurate. I also don't really know what the oil pressure is. It says normal. It's in the center. I would love to know whether or not it was 40 or 60 pounds. We're also going to be taking care of that soon. I want to make sure that everything in this car is ready to monitor a turbo system and that I can safely know what's going on. So right now that's my biggest thing, is I don't really know what the motor's doing, and I've been driving it around and trying to read plugs, and I just can't do that. So we're going to try to start taking care of the gauges in it before we get the turbo ordered and put in. So we're going to go ahead and put this in. We're going to get this painted to match, and yeah, we'll start from there. And in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know what a wideband oxygen sensor is, these are extremely accurate. Your standard O2 sensors operate between a much lower voltage range. It can only really read a small percentage of your oxygen that's coming out of your exhaust. So these simply read how much oxygen and fuel mixture is going out of into your exhaust, and this tells me exactly what the engine is providing, how much fuel it's providing, and tells me if the engine's running lean or rich. Well, it's super poor planning on my part. I thought I had paint for this and I don't, and I don't want to paint anything other than what color matches the dash. So I'm going to have to go online and order some of this stuff and wait till it comes in. We'll have to disassemble it. Not a big deal. Luckily this gauge will come out with 2 plugs in the back, and then I'll be able to take this off and paint it. But just giving you an idea where it's going to sit. So it will go right there, not too obstructive, and will be super visible to the eyes. Be able to see it nice and easy. Okay, according to the specs, this thing operates a nice 8.0 to 1 to 20.0 to 1 range. This is a pretty broad range, and its response time is somewhere around 20, I think, milliseconds, so it's really fast. One thing to keep in mind on where we want to place this oxygen sensor is it needs to be at least this is our exhaust system. So it needs to be at least 18 inches away from the cylinder heads. And on top of that, we want to make sure that the oxygen sensor is placed at a 10-degree angle for drain off. So imagine this is your pipe. We want to make sure that the oxygen sensor is placed somewhere around here, around the 10-degree mark on either side. You don't want to place it directly vertical. You don't want to place it directly vertical here either, because that will cause condensation. Placing it directly vertical here apparently is not great for airflow and cause the sensor to overheat. So what you want to do is keep it greater than 10 degrees. So somewhere in this range right here is where we're going to want to put the oxygen sensor, and 18 inches away from the cylinder heads. So let's see where we can place this guy. Okay, it's just pretty not bring the car outside. Nice day, let it get nice and warm, and we're going to go ahead and jack it up. Get jack stands on it and give me some room to work, at least on one side. I'll probably get both sides up as high as I can, just to get to the bung and see where we can place this, if not use the existing oxygen sensor location. So we'll just check it out. Okay, we got the car up, and even though I can use the existing oxygen sensor bung, I think I'm going to put it right behind it just to utilize it in case I ever need it in the future for tuning. I don't want to get rid of an oxygen sensor that I might need for some reason. Let me show you where I plan on putting this. Okay, 18 inches is not that far, but it's 18 inches from the cylinder head. So this is where your existing bung is. I do want to put it on the driver's side. Really no reason that you really want to have 2 of these things, possibly, but 1 is definitely going to be a lot better than 2. This is where the existing one is. I can simply unscrew this if I wanted to and use this bung, but then you'd be disabling this O2 sensor, which again is not a big deal, especially if your tune it's not calling for, which mine won't be. But in the meantime, I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to putting it right in the side here. This gives me a good spot to drill and weld, and gets it kind of up and out of the way, and it'll be vertical, or it'll be horizontal in the pipe, so it's a good spot And the cabling will allow me to route it straight up the firewall there and up into the car. So I think this is a good spot. And this will allow me to run it up, up to the gauge as close as possible also. So I'm gonna have to run on the passenger side and run the cables all the way over. But so far, I think this is a good spot. It's away from the existing O2 sensor. It's at a different angle, so hopefully I won't be, in the way of the flow, or this guy won't be blocking the flow or causing kind of turbulence or anything like that. We shouldn't have to worry about that at all. But it's pretty cool. AEM is able to provide us with a bung. Let's see what size we got here. It's like exactly 22 millimeters. Okay guys, I've tapped it in place and it's nice and snug. I went ahead and made sure that this guy is kind of angled up. That's why I've got area down here we'll have to weld, and I've got plenty of room here to weld. Yeah, I'm not going to sugarcoat that one. That is by far the worst angle and freaking place I've ever welded in my life. That sucked. Well, it's in, and I'm not going to lie, I've made much better welds than that. That's, yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. But I'm sandwiched against the car, so what do you expect? Okay, the O2 sensor is installed. I'm going to need to zip tie this stuff back, but I'm going to run the cables first, make sure I get away from the exhaust. This has a pretty good wrapping around. It looks like a a heat protectant shield, but nonetheless, you still want to get it away from the headers up top. So let me show you where I've got it running through right now. So I got the pack, or the weather pack, coming up right here. So it's just snaking up behind the brake booster, and it's going in right through here, next, up against the. I've got it going right up here against the K member and up behind the brake booster, and it's now showing up right here. So where I think I'm going to try to run it. Obviously, you don't want to push that connector through the firewall; it's too big. So we need to push it from this side in. This little guy here, this is what plugs into the gauge. So I think what I'm going to try to do is push it through the area where my hood latch release is, which is right here. Right there is your main engine harness. If you want to get up higher, you could do that. You could even put your own grommet there, but that's already there. It's got some wiggle room around it. So if I can locate that in the firewall, I think I'll try to push this in through here with a fish. And yeah, that'll run the cable goes to the O2 sensors. They've got a long screwdriver here. I'm going to try to poke this actually through the main harness grommet, just because there's more rubber around that grommet. Not a lot of rubber around the hood latch release. So this seems to be a better spot. I'm going to try to push it right below the main area where the main harness goes through for the dash. And push it through, and we'll feed the wire back in for the gauge. That's the idea at least. Okay, it's pulled through. I'm going to leave a little bit of room here before I tuck all this stuff back in.
up. Okay, when it comes to running this wire up from the floor, I'm going to leave the cleanup for last. Right now I've got it bundled up behind the kick panel here. Got it running from, of course, from the grommet underneath the dash where your main harness comes through. Let me show you about this little channel right here. Mine's got a metal channel that goes right between the dash. We're going to simply take this, feed it up. So that's a good spot for that to come out. We're going to take this kick off and run the wire behind it. Okay, kind of gently pull down. There's some tabs holding this piece up. Like that. For these inserts, you want to get yourself a 3/16 drill bit, and this is the inserts that come with the gauge pillar. We'll get this nice and tight up against the plastic, drill a hole, and these push pins should hold it all in place. So I want to get one down here, but it's going to have a hard time getting to it because of the because of where the dash is. So this one's marked, at least we know now where we want to put it. We'll go ahead and remove the dash out of the way. And we're going to get this piece off. Okay, I've got the hole drilled on the backside here. This is for the connectors to go through and come out to the gauge here. I don't really like the way, not only is this sticky, there's some paint residue left over this pod that's getting all over my hands, and it's really hard to come off. But notice how it's nice and flush here, and that's where the part you will see. Once it's painted, it'll look better. But the backside isn't quite as flush. There's a little spot here where it lifts up. I'm going to use a heat gun and try to soften this up a little bit and push this down up against the A-pillar so it's a little bit more flush. Okay, apply a little bit of heat, and that is a lot better. So kind of pushed it down here. It's a little bit more flush to the bottom. So yeah, it's time to get this bad boy installed. Okay, here's $1 million question. I've got it wired up to a fused link. It's actually going to the stereo. It needs a 5 amp, so it's probably a little bit more of a larger fuse than we need, but it is just wired in down there. Got it nice and tucked under. I got some wires I need to zip tie. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Fuel pump kicked on. Okay, it's heating up. Got the car on jack stand still, but let's fire it up and see if it works. So don't hear any exhaust leaks, and there we go. 14.6. And you can tell it's running really good, so let's just richened up big time. I leaned up big time. Okay, so we'll let the car warm up, get the jack stands out of here, and we'll go for a ride and see how it works. Okay, let's go for a ride. It's got it all waxed last week. Gauges look pretty cool. Okay, right now I'm showing 16, which is way lean. Okay. Get a wide open throttle run here. what the air fuel is at. Woo. Okay, I'm gonna back off of it. It was easily in the upper 14s, 14.7, 14.6. As we're cruising right now, it's showing 15 and 16. The car is running way too lean. And it's just as I expected. Right now it's cruising at 15.5, 15.9, upper 15s. I'm going to put it on the nitrous tune. Nitrous tune is suspected to run a little bit richer because it's expecting nitrous. It's definitely going to retard the timing a little bit. Okay, let's see if the nitrous tune makes a difference. Definitely not. No difference whatsoever. Still in the 14s at wide open throttle. Okay, so what I'm seeing is definitely a lean condition. It's definitely too lean to be running it. That's why I've been stumbling up at higher RPMs. Hopefully I didn't do any damage. I don't think I did any damage to the pistons, otherwise it wouldn't be running right now. But we don't want it running this lean. The fuel pressure is already at 40. I'm actually going to bump the fuel pressure up a little bit higher, and I'm going to back the timing off 2 degrees as well, just to make the motor a little bit safer. And then we'll go for a cruise, see if it works. But the ideal target is what I'm trying to get after is an upper 12 to 13 to 1 compression or air fuel ratio. 14.8 is way too high. 14s is too high. Even though it's stoic, it's a perfect air fuel ratio. On a higher compression, higher motor, it's flowing this much horsepower. I need a little bit more fuel. Definitely cool it down a little bit because it'll be running too hot if I'm not careful. So let's make some changes. Okay guys, hey listen, we've accomplished our goal. The meter is now working and I'm now able to tune the car and see what it's doing. That's great. So even though I do have some tuning to do, it may be a spark issue, we're gonna look into that. But otherwise it seems to be running a little bit better after I bumped it up this last time. So we're making progress, but the key is I have the tools now to see what the hell the motor's doing, so that's awesome. Guys, I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed this video of the AEM Wideband air fuel ratio meter gauge install. So anyways, make sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram. Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.